Hello guys, welcome back to a new video on the Wanna channel where we talk about everything Fortnite Creative related. Today we're going over the input trigger and everything it has in store for us. So basically what the input trigger does, it says whenever you click a certain button on your keyboard, controller, your mobile device, it will send a channel to a device and that will make that device activate or whatever you want it to do. So basically here I have two input triggers that are saying to give 1 point every single time. Right here I have it as jump. Every time you jump you'll get 1 point, and every time you move left or right you will get a point. So let's test this out. So whenever I move forward and backward, it will give me no points because I didn't set that up. I'm clicking W and S as my keys. But whenever I click A, it will give me a point, and whenever I click D, it will also give me a point because I'm using my left and right keys. And if I jump, that will also give me a point. So these three inputs on the left hand side, which you can see, my space is jump, my A is move, and my D is also move. So if I click space, A, and then D, that will give me 3 points, 1 for each. So if I spam these buttons, it will give me a lot of points, just like that. So that is how this input device works. Also, I think this is the first ever video on this device. So if you do enjoy, please consider subscribing. Let's get right into the video. You can find this input trigger right over here, inventory, content, devices, and it should be it's right on the top right here. It's called the input trigger. If you can't find it, then just search it up and it will pop up. You can place it down right here, and let's go straight into the settings of this. So the first setting here we have is creative input. This is the input that you're going to be detecting, as it says down here. It says listening to on the bottom. So this is what it's listening for, which input it would be. So don't worry about where it says custom. It'll just say custom 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, all the way up to 12. Don't worry about that. All you have to worry about is the thing in parentheses after this. So when it says fire right here, this is when you're going to be firing a weapon or using your left click or your back bumper on your controller. This is just your fire button, whatever keybind you have for that. So I have right here, it says fire, target, crouch, jump, sprint, and then this is your interact with things. And then once you see, if you get to custom 7, it will actually say forward/backward, and it will add an access direction. This access direction here says if you put it on negative, it will only detect the negative. When you're moving negatively, you're moving backward, and when you're moving positively, you're moving forward, just like you would on like a graph or something. So like negative and positive, forward and backward. If you set this to any, it will trigger both. So if you go forward or backward, it will send the channel. Moving over to custom 8 is left and right. It still has that access direction right here. You can change the access direction to any, positive or negative once again. So your negative will be your left and your positive will be your right. Once again, still on that chart. So left and right on like a line graph would be positive and negative. Moving over to custom 9, it takes rid of that access because we don't need it anymore. And it says previous item. So this is when you like switch to an item. So when you switch over to an item, it will trigger, and next item it will trigger, swap, harvesting tool, and that's pretty much it for these. I'm just going to show you how it works for the jump right now, and we'll get back to that later. So this is the input. So whenever the player jumps, it will send a channel. Next one here is show on HUD. Do you want it to show on the HUD, on or off? HUD is the thing on the left where it says your keybinds that you can click to trigger a point, on or off. And if you put it on, the HUD description will pop up here, but if you turn it off, it will go away. So HUD description, moving on to this one, it says right here input. If you do just this input in the squiggly brackets, it will show the input that you have to do. It will show what your keybind does for that input. Just how it said, like spacebar is jump, so it'll just say jump or something here. It'll just say that, I believe. You can add text before or after this, depending on whatever you would like. Moving to here, enable at game start. Easy, enable is on, disable is off. Pretty simple. Selected team. This is the team that's selected to trigger this device. You could do team 1, and same for the class. So the team and class go together here. They don't go together, but it's pretty much the same thing for team and class. You can click one class here and one team here, whatever you would like. And then invert team selection and invert class selection also go along with the team and class up here. I don't know why they laid it out like this, but they did. So the selected team is 1. So if I go down here and click invert team selection, turn that on, it will do every single team except for team 1. And if I turn it off, it'll do only team 1. Same for the class. Selected class is number 1 up here. So if I click invert, it will invert it. So everyone except for class 1 will be able to use it. And if I set it off, only class 1 will be able to use it. For right now, I'm just going to put it to any and any. Moving all the way down here, registered player behavior. You can add a registered player. You can require registered or ignore. So these are just if you want to register a player over in this section right here, you can register and unregister all. These are the settings that you're going to use with this one right here. I'm just going to keep it like that for now. Mobile has text, mobile has icon, and mobile color. These are all for mobile players, so not PC, not consoles like Xbox and PlayStation. This is for the strictly mobile and I think iPad people. So this is the text that they have. You can turn it on for them. You can have a mobile icon, so you can change any icon you would like here. And mobile color, you can change whatever color you want them to have. And that's it for the all options. So let's move over to the functions area. Of course, right here you have your enable and disable settings. Enable on a channel, disable on a channel. Good stuff. Next here we have register player, unregister player, and register all players. These are pretty self-explanatory. You can register a player to this device so they can use it. You can unregister a player to this device so they can use it both on a channel. So the player would have to trigger a channel in order to register and unregister them all, or register them. And then down here it says unregister all players. This is if you want all players to be unregistered and no one can use this device. You can add a channel there. I don't believe this has to be triggered by a player, but you could just send a channel here and it'll unregister everyone. Moving on to our events, we have on input press and on input release. So say I were to jump, you got to click your space bar. You got to click it. But when you click it down, which is your input press, as soon as you push down that space bar, it will count it as a point and set the channel to whatever device you want. But if you put on input release, that'll be like after you push down your space bar and release your space bar, it will send a channel to a device. So this is on your space bar being released, and this is on your space bar being pressed, or whatever input you have, like A or D or anything like that. Pretty simple, so let's go on out. It's a lot to take in, but it's really good device. This just came out recently, I believe, with the new update. So yeah. Next, over here, I'm just gonna delete these things, and I'm gonna grab my score manager right over here. Bring this on over here. We're gonna delete the ones I already have here. They're already good. Okay, so that means, so this is set to jump. So every time I click my space bar, it should send to the score manager and give me 1 point. So if I come over here, I can do on input press. I can go to the score manager and I'm going to do activate, which will add a score. And on input released, I don't have to do this one, but if I release it, I can set it to the score manager again and activate. So whenever I jump once, I'll push down on my space bar, it'll give me a point, and then once I release my space bar, it will give me another point. So every single time I jump, this should give me 2 points in theory. So let's test this out and see if this works. So I have no movement bound, so as on the left, it says space jump. So let's test it. Just like that. So if I push down on my space bar, it will give me 1 point, and I'm holding down on my spacebar right now. If I release my spacebar, it gives me another point just like that. So it's just every input, the down and up key. And say X was jump for something on your controller. If you hold down X, it'll give you a point. And if you release X, it will give you another point just like that. There's a lot of different things you can use. You can use this for mini games. You can use this for different matches. Like a ton of different things could be used for this input trigger. If you're making like adventure maps, or like for some reason FNAF came to me, Five Nights at Freddy's maps, Backrooms maps, if you click a certain button, then it will trigger like a jump scare or something. You can use this input trigger in a ton of different ways, not just the score. You can do barriers, pretty much any single device that you can send a event to. you can use this with. So going through some of the other ones on here, you also have jump, sprint. So if I change this over to sprint, I can delete one of these on release. We're going to delete that key, start it up. So now every single time I sprint, I will get a point, so I can jump around, do everything freely. But if I click left shift, which is my sprint key, as you can see, it will give me a point just like that. And if I do that again, it'll give me a point every single time, just like that. And if I spam it, just like that, it'll give me a ton of points every single time I click my left shift button in sprint. So for one more thing for this device, you don't have to worry about the player's keybinds. You just have to worry about the action that they're trying to do. So say you set it for sprint, you don't have to manually bound that button. It will just do it for everyone on different consoles, mobile players, and keyboard players. So there's a ton of different things you can do with this. If you did enjoy the video, please consider subscribing. I did do my research on this device, and since this is the first video on YouTube about this, I hope no one posts a video on this before this gets posted. But please hit that subscribe button. And if you would like to support, please use code peeper in the Fortnite item shop. That is PEEPER. And have fun with your inputs. We're almost at 4,000 subscribers. We could be at 4,000 subscribers when this video is posted. I'm not sure, but I hope you did enjoy. I will see you all in the next one. A sister out.